Hello and welcome to the France 24 interview. Our guest today is Thein Sein, who is the president of Myanmar, the country formerly known as Burma. Thank you very much for being on the show. This is your first official visit to France. Before that, you went to the United Kingdom. You spent your whole career in the military. You become one of the leader of the military junta ruling the country since 1962. Then you retired from the military. You became president in March of 2011. And you surprised the whole world when you decided to democratize your country, giving your citizens more freedoms and also releasing a number of political prisoners, first and foremost the Nobel Peace Prize winner, Aung San Suu Kyi. 2 years later, a lot remains to be done to make Myanmar a Western-style democracy. Nevertheless, the West is eager to do business with your country, and this is essentially why you are here in Europe. You also went to the United States. So, Mr. President, let me ask you, you're received here in Europe. In the United States, many people must be wondering why. Why did you decide to make those reforms in your country? What was the event that made you think, I need to change my country?
We're undertaking the reforms because the people wish to see changes and reforms in our country. And since we have been elected in the government, we need to fulfill the wills and desires of the majority of the people. As everybody knows, reforms are not easy. They represent a daunting task and there are challenges. However, Myanmar has been free of bloodshed. We can say that there has been no bloodshed stemming from changes in the country. However, we've been encountering unexpected challenges as we were undertaking reforms in Myanmar.
What kind of challenges are you encountering? Is there opposition from some of the military rulers who might fear that they might lose some influence because democracy, if it is fully a democracy, it means everyone has a chance?
I myself was in the military at various capacities, and as you know, the military has to strictly follow the orders. The military is not resisting our changes into a democratic system. This is what we can say. According to our Constitution, the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Services is appointed by the President. So I can assure you that the military is not holding out against any changes pertaining to the democratic process in Myanmar.
I want to get to the issue of political prisoners. You mentioned in London that they would all be freed by the end of this year. How many political prisoners are there? And is it sure that there are no new political prisoners? Some human rights groups have raised the issue that there are still people being arrested just because of their advocacy work.
With regards to your question on political prisoners, you may be aware that since we took office 2 years ago, we've been releasing political prisoners on several occasions. And the number is in thousands. We've also set up a committee to scrutinize the remaining political prisoners in Myanmar. This committee consists of governmental representatives, representatives of civil society, and representatives of prisoners. And based on their findings, we have been releasing these prisoners. A list of political prisoners was provided by the United Nations and by other countries, but we've been releasing thousands of political prisoners. I don't know the exact figure, but I think There's perhaps less than 100 political prisoners remaining, but as I said earlier, based on the findings of the scrutinizing committee, if the prisoner is detained because of his or her beliefs or for political reasons, he or she shall be released.
I want to come to the issue. Since you came to power, there was one big event, the release of Aung San Suu Kyi from many years of house arrest. She's now a member of parliament, the leader of the National League for Democracy. She said she wants to run for president in 2015. However, the constitution prevents someone who is married to a foreigner, her late husband was a foreigner, from running. I know you've said several times that it is up to Parliament to decide whether to amend the Constitution. That being said, your party has a huge majority in Parliament, so clearly you are able to have an effect. Do you think that for the sake of democracy, or at least in helping democracy establish itself in your country, she should be able to run for president in 2015?
In democracy, you're fully aware that you got full freedom of speech and expression. And she has been expressing her desire to run for president. And she is hence exercising her democratic rights. And insofar as the presidential election is concerned, just as in any other country, the Constitution has to prevail. And I myself became the president of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar based on that constitution, and Myanmar's constitution is amendable. The provisions of our constitution allow for amendments. It is up to the parliamentarians to decide on the amendments of the constitution, and some of the provisions require the approval, and we need to organize referendums before we can amend those provisions, but it is amendable. If the parliamentarians and the people decide to amend the constitution, I have nothing to say. I just have to follow their decision.
So if the Constitution, do you think the Constitution will be amended to allow Aung San Suu Kyi to run before 2015, and would she be someone you would accept as your president?
As I said earlier, the parliamentarians shall decide on amending the Constitution. Now, as far as her candidacy is concerned, I got no objections. I have nothing to say about it.
Okay, I want to get to an issue that's been in the news in Rakhine State, communal violence between the Rakhine Buddhist majority, the Muslim Rohingya group. More than 200 people died last year. Some human rights groups, including here in Paris, have been agitating over the issue and are saying that it is called ethnic cleansing, that what is happening there is action against Muslims, and that you and your government are not doing enough to prevent what they describe as ethnically motivated violence. What's your response?
This is not ethnic cleansing. Outside elements are just exaggerating, and this is fabricated news. This is no ethnic cleansing whatsoever. The government, however, has been able to contain this communal violence, and things have returned to normal. My government has set up an independent commission so as to investigate the root causes of this communal violence. We have also been implementing the recommendations issued by the commission, and I just want to make the following point. This is a smear campaign against the government, and this is over-exaggerated news. What happened in Rakhine was not ethnic cleansing.
Very last question, Mr. President. You're often compared to Mikhail Gorbachev. What do you think of this comparison? And will you run for president in 2015?
As far as the first question is concerned, I'm different from Mr. Gorbachev. In the case of Mr. Gorbachev, he initiated reforms in Russia based on what he thought was suitable for his country. In Myanmar, or in my case, I undertake the reforms and changes on the basis of what the majority of the people in Myanmar want. So we're quite different when it comes to undertaking reforms and changes in our country. Now, insofar as the second question is concerned, as of now, I have not prepared myself to run for the forthcoming 2015 presidential election. What I have in mind is as follows. I'd like to bring peace to my country and bring social economic development, which people in Myanmar have been longing for. And number three, I'd like to build a better future for the younger generation of the Myanmar people. That's all I have in mind.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. President, for your time. And thank you very much for watching this edition of The Interview here on France 24.